Hello. So right now we are going to walk through how to test your garden soil. I think testing your soil is important so you know what amendments you need to add to your garden to get your soil to the ideal condition to grow vegetables or whatever it is you are choosing to grow. The testing kit I'm using today, it looks like this. It just has the vials in the front. This one I picked up from Walmart. When you shop for a soil testing kit, you want to make sure that it tests four things. You want to test pH, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Those are the main nutrients, and then the pH as well is very important to garden soil. So this one comes with 4 different vials, and it comes with capsules that go in each vial. First of all, you go to your garden and dig at least 6 inches down, because down a little bit further, that will give you a more reliable reading of what your soil truly is. This test kit says I am going to do 1 part soil and 5 parts water. So a quarter cup measuring cup gives me 1 of these of soil, 5 of these of water. When you're adding the water, you want to use distilled or bottled water. You don't want to use tap water because especially things like the pH, that could throw that off quite a bit. For the pH test, we actually add soil right into this vial. There's little lines on this vial, and we add soil up to the first line. Then we add just plain water into the vial, and then it did come with a little, oops, I should have used it because now I have to take some out. It came with this to put the water in. All right, so we've got water up to the first line there. And then the green one here is going to test our pH. So I'm going to add that into the vial. And then we shake it up. And most tests have to sit for about 10 minutes to give you an accurate reading, although it does seem to start to show up pretty quickly. So we have the capsule, the water, and the soil for the pH test. Shake it up really well. And then we'll let that color develop as we do the other ones. So the other tests are done a little bit differently in that you mix the soil and the water and then you let it sit for 24 hours. As you can see, the soil is settled onto the bottom, and in between here we have some water that we can use for testing, and we don't have the chunks of soil in these 3 tests. So for these, the instructions say to add water to the top line. Always make sure you read the instructions for your specific test. And don't be afraid of learning something new. Testing your soil, it can seem overwhelming at first and it can seem a little bit daunting. Actually, it doesn't take very much time. It's not too much of an effort. I strongly recommend you go ahead and do just the simple home tests. They do seem to be able to give you an idea. They might not be perfect, might not be perfectly accurate, but to give you an idea of what your soil looks like. So that one is for the nitrogen. And then we're going to do the phosphorus. So I'm going to get a little bit of this water again, trying to make sure I'm not pulling up the soil from the bottom. But just this water that's sat for 24 hours. It doesn't have to sit quite that long. It's just a little bit clearer and the soil has settled out a little bit more if you let it sit. Put the capsule on the top. Try and make sure I get all the powder out of there, although I am spilling some on the counter. Hopefully that won't affect the reading too much. And shake that one up. You can probably see this pH one starting to develop a little bit. Almost matches my shirt, which is not a great thing. This is our chart here that we're taking a look at, and the high pH tells us we have alkaline soil. Most vegetables prefer slightly acidic soil, something from about 6 to 6.5, and the potatoes are a little lower. They are more around 5.5. So it can be a little bit difficult depending on what you're working with to maintain a healthy pH. for your plants. And then the nutrients are all very important for the nitrogen for leaf growth, the phosphorus for root growth, and the potassium, which is the one I'm doing now, sometimes called potash as well, is important for the blossoms, especially, which turns into the fruit for plants like potatoes, squash. All right, and we will let this sit for about 5 more minutes. All right, so it's been about 10 minutes, and we're going to check back with how our soil test did. This chart here shows the nitrogen. This is our nitrogen vial. As you can see, my nitrogen is very low. This one here is the phosphorus. It looks even lower than very low. This one is the potassium. It, I would say, is, or the potash, and it is high. pH, right at the top of the chart, which only goes to 7.5. So that tells you a little bit about my garden pH. One thing I have learned is that high pH, when the pH is too high, it makes the phosphorus unavailable. So I'm hoping as I bring down my soil pH, possibly my phosphorus levels in my soil will go up. For more on amending your garden soil, you can check out, I have a blog post on my website, search amending garden soil, or I have courses available that teach you more on how to amend your soil to get these levels to where you want them. Thanks for watching.